All right. I'm going to go over real quick on peaches on how to thin them. A lot of people complain that they get way too small of a peach. They'll only be maybe this big. They won't have much meat on them. The pit will be the same size as a large peach, and the reason is they don't thin their peaches well enough. So what you need to do is you need to come in and you need to thin your peaches. You don't want to wait too long. If you wait, this is about the right size here. If you let them get too large, once the pit starts to harden, if you take a knife and cut through this, the pit will still be nice and soft. Once these get larger enough, probably about the size, a little bit bigger than a quarter, the pit will start to harden. And once that happens, it doesn't matter how much you thin them, they're still going to be small. So you need to come in earlier the better, as soon as they're set. And I try and get no bigger than this, maybe a nickel size here, and go ahead and get them thinned. What you want to do is thin them to no more than about that far apart, which is about 6 inches apart. So what that means is on most limbs, you're only going to have like one peach. So we're going to go through here and show you how I thin them. I try and look first for a large one. I pick the larger the better one I want to leave. And if it's pointing down, I don't want it pointing up like that. If it's pointing down, so much the better. So I come and start down a limb like this. Start plucking off even the small ones. You got to get them all off. So I'm just going to leave one on that limb. I'm going to come to this one. I've got a nice one pointing down there, so I'm going to take that one. Take everything else off. And be doing the same with this. I've got one hanging down there. I'm going to get off even the small ones that just bloomed. I've got one, probably this one here. I'm going to take the rest of these off this limb. Come back here. I've got this large one here, so I'm going to take these all off. Unless it's not long enough to leave a second one, really. Got that one there. I'll take these off on this. Looking for any more here. Even on these small ones, I'm going to leave one. I'm going to take the other ones off of this. Got one there. Got one set there. I'll take these off. Got one set there. And that's about, when it gets done, that's about how your tree should look. And people will come back and say, well, you didn't leave anything. Well, it looks like it right now, but when these peaches get to about this big, all of a sudden, it looks like, I tell people that they kind of grow into each other, and you say, oh my goodness, we left too many of them. And you're better off to thin too much than too little, because you want to get good sized peaches. And again, if you leave a lot of them, what you're going to wind up with is small peaches, and it'll be the same size pit as a big peach. So if you have the small peach, you just have a pit with a little bit of flesh around it. So you want to get in there and be kind of brutal in your thinning, and make sure and thin them to, I say, about 6 inches apart, and no closer than that. It'll be hard the first year. In fact, I can say that I couldn't do it to start with, and I wound up with smaller peaches, and I'd try a little harder the next year, and I got to where I could thin them pretty well. And even then I'll come back through another time or two here just to see, because I always miss some limbs. But it's real important that while they're young and small like this, that you go through and you thin your peaches. That way you'll get large ones.